You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready?
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening. How the devil are you? Including that too. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye. Hello, wherever you are in the world. We have people popping in from America. We have people popping in from Australia. And we've even got the Northeast today. You know, we go to some weird places. He's going to kill me. But this is the preview show. It's Leicester Till I Die TV, LTID TV. And it's the preview show with Chris and Brad. Brad, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. Although I did nearly forget that I'm in charge of the muting and you're in charge of the. I'm in charge of the unmuting and you're in charge of the muting.
Honestly, you can't
you can't get the staff. You can't get the technology these days, can you? We've got laptops not working for our guests, and you got my phone just going. No, I don't want to work today for me. So, it's all good, mate. I don't know why. Just for the laughs, I think. I think you like the stress, mate.
That's what it must be. Have you got over Leeds yet?
Yeah, I have. I've got over it. I'm not bitter at all.
Not much.
Yeah.
Right, let's bring our muted and unmuted in one move there. There we go. Let's bring our guest in. He's from the Borough Breakdown podcast. Let's hope that they do break down on Saturday afternoon. So he must get that every time he goes on a different show. It's Johnny. Good evening, Johnny. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, gents. How's things?
Not too bad at the moment. Having a good season, I must say. And I always say this to my guests this season. Forgive me if we seem a little bit chirpy, if we seem a little bit happy. We had such a shit season last season that it's just nice to be winning again. And just to put that in context for you, 15 matches in, and we've won more than we did all last season.
No, it's nice, isn't it? It must be nice. One bad season in how many years? You know, I think it's not too bad, is it? I mean, in the one bad season, you get relegated, so it's absolutely typical, isn't it?
It is. And we all say, if you told us 10 seasons ago you'll win the Premier League, you'll get into Europe twice, you'll get to the semi-finals of a European competition, win the FA Cup, but then you'll get relegated at the end. Would you take it? We would all have said yes.
Oh, mate, you absolutely do. What a roller coaster of a few years, you know. So, I mean, I'm very envious, of course, of what the journey you've been on. But it's been what an amazing journey, right? What an amazing journey.
It has. But I mean, let's go back and look at. It wasn't that many years ago when we were playing in a semi-final, in a final and a replay, and you had the big names. All right, it didn't, end happily for you. but we kind of went in two different directions, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Well, Borough was a strange one, like we obviously had the big names. You had Ravanelli, Janino, Emerson. And you look at all those names and you're thinking, wow, well, obviously we'll progress from there as well. So like obviously you win the cup and break our hearts in the second leg. I always hit Emil Heskey for equalising in the last kick of the game. But yeah, we went in a bit of a direction, didn't we? I think with you guys, it kind of started to dip and you got relegated. But with us, we went on a European adventure ourselves, won our own first trophy as well in the League Cup, and then probably post 2009, we've just been passing chips. Really, you guys have been on the up, and we've just went all of it. We've just been in the Championship for a good part of a decade, really. And obviously the one promotion under Karanka, and that's it. We've got relegated again after one more year. So yeah, you guys have had a very nice recent history for sure, following that cup win.
Not going to lie, and obviously the trophy there shows what we managed to do. It does look like we've got a very famous guest in the middle. I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like the dad off the royal family. Brad, you have got that look about you tonight.
Well, it's better than other looks I've been told I look like. Apparently, I look like Jeffrey Dahmer. So that's another one I've had because of these glasses and the shape of them. Yeah, that's a great one. I know, right? I'm very thankful for the fact that he went for the royal family. I thought it was going to be another one that would point that out. But yeah, I'm a style icon, just not for the right reasons.
Forgot my job already. I'm going to come to you first, Johnny, because you had it was a funny season last season because you didn't start off well. You had an amazing end to the season, got to the semis, that didn't work out. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of Leicester fans were crying out that we should come and get Michael Carrick off you. You seem to sell your star striker. You struggled again this season a bit. Well, then you went up, you won a few. Then you kind of gone off the boil a little bit. I mean, how happy are you with this guy? First of all,
I love Michael Carrick, and I would have been devastated if you guys took him from us. To be honest, he's a great man. He's been really, really good for us. Really, really good. And we were there's a lot of the big backstory to Carrick and him coming in. Very short story is Chris Wilder wanted to leave and go to Burnley, didn't get that job. Then he tried to apply for the Bournemouth job, didn't get that. And we were just like, what are you doing? Got rid of him as we were towards the bottom of the Championship, which we had a squad good enough to be in the playoffs. Carrick comes in, we go on this amazing roller coaster of a season. And yeah, we end up obviously in the semi-finals. But obviously post that, it's not really his fault too much that we've had a bit of a slow start. We lost 66 goals pretty much overnight as soon as that final whistle went against Coventry. And in the playoffs, we lost Tuba, we lost Ryan Giles, who was contributing to the left-hand side. We lost Aaron Ramsey, we lost Cameron Archer. And replacing 66 goal contributions is pretty difficult, especially on not a massive budget either. So yeah, he's struggling initially this season, but we've really turned it around. And yeah, I just absolutely love Michael Carrick. Brilliant. Really, really good coach. Really good development coach.
Those 66 players that 66 goal worth of players that you lost. I mean, were they all loanees or did you sell some?
Yeah, 3 loanees and in Ryan Giles, Cameron Archer, and Aaron Ramsey. So Aaron Ramsey, not the one that everyone thinks of when they think of like Cardiff and Arsenal. It was the one that was at Aston Villa and now at Burnley. Ryan Giles is at Luton and Cameron Archer is at Sheffield United now. So they've all made that step up to the Premier League. And if you actually total up the fees that they've gone for, it's actually, and adding Tuber in there as well, it's over 50 million. So you're thinking, wow, we've lost a lot of probably really good young talent. And yes, there were loan players, but I think we really got the best out of him in that part of the season.
Before I go back to Brad, what you said about Wilder there, I mean, he couldn't have been happy at Middlesbrough if he was applying for all these jobs.
Well, he was. The thing is, he was. He was really happy, and it was like we started off brilliant because we had Neil Warnock prior to that. we got on really well. You know, we got rid of Neil, and Chris came into the building and, you know, rejuvenated us, got us to where we needed to be. And the new season starts, and you think we're going to really kick on. And it was just so odd because we were doing so well, and then about March, April time, Sean Dyche lost his job, and then Wilder's been like tipped for this new role at Burnley, our manager's role, and it just got very fishy very quickly. And you know, like as soon as you know your manager's off and he wants to go somewhere else, like your players aren't going to play for you either. Let's be brutally honest. Yeah. And yeah, he you know, he got a job at Watford for a little while, but I think he'll struggle. I think he'll struggle to get something as good as a project he had at Middlesbrough as well. He had like investment, the crowd on board, everyone was happy, and he kind of threw it away.
I always liked him, but that's kind of a little bit naughty. But Brad, I mean, you look at our squad. I mean, most of the loanees, well, I say most, we haven't got that many. A couple of the loanees we've got options to buy. I think, is it just Doyle and Cassidy that we haven't got options on?
Yeah, they're the only two that we haven't got any options on. But you'd like to think with the way they came to our club on loan. Obviously, Doyle has worked with Enzo previously at Man City's under-23s, and Cassidy was convinced to turn down Genoa in Italy to come to us. That might have been more to Chelsea's preference. Well, there is that, you could argue. I mean, that might be more. That was sounding like it was more Chelsea's influence for him because they want to develop him. But yeah, it is a struggle, and we've said this before, haven't we? With certain teams, you look at some teams that have made historic runs to the playoffs, and then the next season they're down at the bottom, and you're scratching scratching your head and raising an eyebrow, and you're thinking, how have they struggled so bad? And then you look at their squad and realise they had 6 or 7 loanees, and it shows you, the loan market is like a double-edged sword, isn't it? You kind of live and die by it, and seems to be that's what's happening. Happens with Middlesbrough at the moment. Although they've had a little reprieve in form until, which they needed, but it hasn't worked out for them now. They've got a balance in their squad.
Andrew, let's give Cassidy a little bit of leeway here. He's only been with us 15 games, and I think he suffers because everybody else that we brought in has just clicked, if you like. You know, you don't get to be the golden boot and golden sock and golden underwear, whatever, everything else that he got at the Euro under 23s without being a decent player. Let's just give him. He was getting all right. Couple of games he played regularly since indeed he got injured. For me, Leeds wasn't very good, but then there was a lot of players out there that didn't perform. Talking about not performing, Johnny, sorry to lead it this way, but your start of the season there was as we touched on before, was not good. You then sort of had a bit of a good run, and as we're seeing in a bit last couple of games, kind of turned it back a little bit, but worried that it suddenly is come to an end. I think really. To an end, that's been unfair.
No, I get it. I think. Look, unless you're Leicester away, win every game, it's very unrealistic. I think to win so many games on the bounce. We won 7 in a row, 8 in all competitions, and you know we really turned the corner. And you know you are going to probably lose random games here and there in the Championship. We should have really beat Plymouth. Kind of threw it away at the end, and Stoke we just got beat. They just got beat off a better team. You know, they were the better side on the day, and you know, obviously we go into this game now, and if you don't win against Leicester, it's like, oh, we haven't won in 3, and people start to talk again. But for me, I'm confident that we can turn it around. Not if not against Leicester, then we'll go on another run again, and we'll try and progress up the table. So I'm confident in the team. I'm confident in what we're trying to do, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can start to keep climbing the league. So I do think we'll get playoffs. I really do. It's just going to take time this year to really start to bed all these new players we've brought in and trying to get up the table.
How big was? I mean, you beat Cardiff, and then you had the local derby away at Sunderland. I'm sorry, but at that particular point in the season, I'd got Sunderland down for a home win. But then if you see how some of us are doing in the prediction league, Brad, you'll know we're not very good at it. 4-0 away from home against your local rivals. I mean, how much of a boost was that for you?
Oh, it was massive, mate. It was massive. Like, we played them off the park, We played really well in the first half. A red card can change things, but in the it's although it's a red card, like, you still see like teams hold on and be defensively sound and make it difficult. We just played through them, and they were really personal in that second half, and scoring 4, and it was lovely. It was a really nice moment for us to beat Sunderland, and Tony Mowbray as well. We're a legend and manager over there. He always beats us, so it was quite bittersweet that we beat him and beat him in such a way that we were able to really celebrate it. But that was great. I think it shows like what we can do.
Yeah,
and we've proved that we can create plenty of chances. We can, and so hopefully, fingers crossed, we can continue that. But yeah, it was a very, very nice moment beating Sunderland 4-0.
I'm sure
it's always lovely.
It was. Birmingham, was that with or was that before Rooney, or had Rooney started?
No, Rooney's first game, so it was quite nice. And
well done. I like Middlesbrough just for that.
Yeah, well, look, with Rooney as well, though, what frustrates me is just that they had a really good thing going with John Eustace, and they just thought, let's bring a bigger name and try and go for it. And it just doesn't always work out, does it? It really never works out. And, they lost their identity, I think. And again, it was just like, it was always, when are we going to score? When are we going to score? We kept missing chances, and then we finally put one away. And it was a relief.
And then, Norwich... Well, everybody seems to be in Norwich at the moment. They're sort of going down quicker than a bride's knickers on a wedding night. Then you got Stoke. What happened at Stoke? Again, I had you down to win that one.
I think you need to stop betting on Borough, to be honest. I think a lot of people do. But Stoke was just a better team. They really were. Like, Stoke have been hot and cold for like the last 18 months under Alex Neil, or really, the last 12 months under Alex Neil. They've been really hot and cold, where they have a squad which is good enough for, probably, you could say, squad good enough for playoffs. They'll get thereabouts. And then they'll go and beat Middlesbrough, and then they'll go and lose to Sheffield Wednesday or something daft like that. They're very inconsistent, but I think we just caught them on a really good day. Like, they were really, really good, really solid. And when a game just not going your way, where like the ball's just not sticking, or you miss that really good chance and something else happens. It was kind of one of those, and we looked a bit leggy, and I thought, oh God, here we go. This could be the turning point. But then we beat Exeter in the Cup, and then we obviously drew in Plymouth as well.
Yeah, so. Now Plymouth, Brad would be quite happy there because it's his second team. He loves the pasties from Plymouth. No, he says, no, I don't. Plymouth, again, you should have won that, should you not?
Yeah, we should have. Really, we should have won it. And we have a habit at the moment of conceding wonder strikes. Honestly, like this season, if you look at Borough's conceded goals, it could be a highlight reel for the entire season, like goal of season category. Like, I just don't know how it's happening. I really don't know how it's happening. Like, we're good defending our own box, but someone outside the box will hit one from about 30, 40 yards, and they'll just go top bins, and you just think,
yeah,
what's our luck? But Azaz's goal was really good, and then Whittaker's free kick right at the end where it bends around the goalkeeper. It was just like Lord scoring opportunity chances, and we just give them away. And we should have really won the game, but it's what it is. It is what it is. I think Plymouth are a good side. They're really good at home. So it's just, I think they're a couple of players away from being a really good side in the division, I think.
Brad, how annoying is it to have a bit of red on our side? We were all green last week.
It's my job to unmute. Stop getting your job wrong. It's annoying, but I think we've been saying for a few games now that you kind of sense that Leicester either needed to give somebody a beating and kind of get over this, this stuttery run that we're on. I know it sounds weird to say stuttery run when you see all that green that's underneath it, but we kind of sensed it from about the Sunderland game ourselves, funny enough, wasn't it, Chris? Because yes, you argue that Leicester did create chances in that game and it could have been a 4-2 or something like that. But Sunderland, for the majority of that game, we were never comfortable at 1-0. And then obviously we played QPR, and that kind of, the game will tell you that it took QPR going down to 10 men for Leicester to break them down and beat them. And whether you could argue all day about whether it would have mattered or not, the fact is that's what happened, and then we took the lead. So I think annoyingly, I wasn't surprised we'd lose to Leeds, which is easy for me to say with all them L's in there. But it's still annoying. It's still annoying. I got used to the colour green in front of that blue background.
No, hang on. Me too. But I was on Luke's channel earlier, and I was talking to him about Leeds, and I said, look, everybody. It was almost like, and I suppose every club's got these sort of fans, but it's like, hang on, we've lost 2 games all season. We've just lost to Leeds, who basically were the better team, and I've got to say they probably honestly deserved it. It's not the end of the world, is it? Brad, sorry.
No, it's of course it's not. I mean, certain weekend and midweek results helped us feel a bit better about that, with Ipswich, currently breathing down our necks. And again, I think we needed it. It's not the end of the world. We're still 11 points clear of third, which is ultimately, when you come down to brass taxes, game week 46, if you're ahead of third place, then you're going back up. The title's a bonus, but essentially it gets the same job, doesn't it? It gives you the same reward, sort of thing. And we've already got the trophy cabinet with the championship, so we don't need it again. It's all right if Ipswich do catch us, but I know, right? But yeah, and again, it kind of helps ground us all round, doesn't it? It helps ground the team, and it kind of helps ground the fans, because I think some fans were, and us a little bit as well on here, admittedly, but we get a little bit carried away with the fact that we were winning every week, 4-1s, 2-1s, 1-0s, 3-0 sort of thing. So we was never going to go the rest of the season without losing. So there's no panic to me right now.
But Brad, I mean, like you say, results went our way. Ipswich played on the Saturday, could only draw, then went to Rotherham. Now, look, I know football's not played on paper, but on paper, Ipswich should have stuffed Rotherham. And I think I messaged you when Ipswich went ahead 2-1 in like the 90th minute or something. I'm like, bloody fucking Ipswich when they stopped scoring. And then literally within 2 minutes, Rotherham would equalise. Ipswich will be kicking themselves. If they'd won both those games, they'd be a point ahead of us now.
Yeah, they would, but like you said, Chris, it isn't played on paper. If it was played on paper, we may not be doing as well as we have been doing, because people would said, on paper, maybe Southampton do better than Leicester. On paper, Blackburn at home should be a tougher game. Leicester might not win that one. On paper, Norwich away might not be a win for Leicester. So thankfully, probably in a way, Leicester's season isn't defined by being played on paper. But yeah, I mean, but it shows this division is so unpredictable. You look at Middlesbrough's, results they've had, like you said about Alex Scott there, they can go and beat someone like Leeds, and then they can go and lose to Sheffield Wednesday, who are the worst team in this division. It's just how it goes, isn't it? It just shows you if a team turns up, they can do it. And this just proves how good of a start Leicester have had, because even though the opportunity was there for Ipswich to take over our role, they didn't have the knack about them to do it, and they felt the pressure, and they didn't lose. You can't say they crumbled, but they must be kicking themselves that they're going, great, how are we not going into the weekend games top of the league sort of thing.
I'm just looking before I continue, Johnny. I'm just looking at Jeffrey Dahmer just to see how much he does look like Brad. Maybe shave the beard off with the glasses. I can see the likeness. But look, let's get back to football. You've got the league leaders coming to your ground. You're at home on Saturday. How are Middlesbrough going to approach this?
It's a mint test for us, definitely. We'll probably the same way we've done it against everyone else, really. Like to keep our feet on the ball, try and have most possession, try and play the thirds. We're a good possession-based team, to be honest. We create plenty of chances. I think the problem we had this year, whereas last year where we'd finish every chance we got, this year it's taken us 2 or 3 to get them in the back of the net. So I think what we'll try and do is we'll do something where, similarly to most possession teams that come at the Riverside, we will probably try and stamp our authority on the game early doors. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we do that. And we try and do the thing where everyone sees now, where you move everyone over to the right, you flip it over to the left, and you've got the space to run in and knock the ball in the box. Do that vice versa with our fullback. So I don't think we'll make too many changes to the game against Leicester. I don't see why we would change too much for one game. And we've got a good home record, so I feel like okay about the game. I'm not going into it thinking, we'll sit men behind the ball, because that's just not the way we've played for like the last 12 to 18 months. So I can't see us doing much different now.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the Leicester Leeds game. I wouldn't have expected you to be honest with you. But, every game that we've played, we've had high possession, and we've basically, Vestergaard sort of in our back three tends to get the ball and it will just stand there and literally say, well, if you want the ball, come and get it off us. And he's passing backwards and forwards to Harry Winks. And then once you guys start coming forward, he'll pop it over the top. What Leeds did, which nobody had really, and possibly Sunderland, but they really came at us. He never had the chance. There was never the time on the ball for him to actually do that. It was like a scene from Zulu. Every time you looked up, all these hordes of Leeds players coming towards you, and obviously it worked for them because we didn't get the chance. We couldn't play. We always said the other team's not going to score when they don't get the ball, and we would tire them out. But my God, Leeds, came up and said, "No, we're not going to do that. We're going to come at you." And my God, they did. Can you see Middlesbrough trying that at all?
Probably, mainly just because we do that anyway. Our pressing's got better and better as the season's gone on, as the players have got a bit fitter. Our recoveries are much better, and I can probably see it. When I look at the defense or the back three, I think it's Doyle, Feist, and is it Feist and then Vestergaard, isn't it? Right? Yeah, Feist. So I can't see too much pace in that back three apart from Doyle, who's obviously played against us last year for Coventry. So I think for me, the one thing I'd probably see us changing is probably instead of having a holding striker in Josh Corbin up top, probably maybe switch it to Emmanuel Elaf, which is a fantastic name, by the way, where he's really good in behind, and I can maybe see Borough trying to steal the ball up high and then try to get it in behind. And I think that's potentially how the game might go.
I mean, we won't have Doyle because he's injured, so we'll have James Justin in. Just looking at your home record, in the last 6 you've won 3, although your last one you did lose to Stoke. You lost to Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah,
we had a
really rough start. Look, that start honestly was just horrendous. I think it was a mixture of, we've signed a load of new players, we've lost a load of good players, and we're trying to test this new way or this new system in that first few games, and it didn't really work, I'll be honest. And it kind of took a few games for our new players to click with obviously the players that were currently there. And obviously you guys, you've just clicked really straight away, haven't you? And the talent that you've got in the group is insane. And it just took us a little bit of time, and it felt like that QPR game was off it. We were creating so many chances, we just couldn't score, and then it was just very typical that we couldn't concede, and just very it was a bit of shithousery going on, I think, for that one.
But on your home form, you're 11th on the last 6 games. Overall, I could say you're 5th. Brad, away, Leicester are going to be playing away. On our away only form, we're first. We've not lost in 6. Have you learned from the Leeds game, that this one's away?
I mean, you always learn from your defeats, don't you? Or at least you try to. Sometimes you get a couple of defeats and you go on a bad run, but you're always learning from your defeats. it's just I still feel like sometimes at home we're a bit uneasy. I think the game's changed a little bit where the home crowd can make you feel a bit unnervy if things aren't going their way after about 10, 15 minutes, whereas the away day, there's a bit more of a party atmosphere, isn't there? There's a bit more of a, bonus if we do really well, but we're a bit more patient. So I feel like they're a bit more relaxed away from home. And if you look at not just our record away from home, but if you was to go back and watch even extended highlights of our performances against teams that, have attacked us in the same sort of manner of Leeds, but with the greatest of respect, the lesser quality in their general depth of the side, i.e. Blackburn and Southampton to a lesser extent. It does seem to play into our hands. We seem to play with a little bit less panic, a little bit less expectation, if you will, and anticipation of getting in front, beating somebody because it's at home. We should be doing it at home. And it's weird because I don't think any team's figured out how to stop Leicester away from home, which, you normally say in football, don't you? Win your home games and pick up points away from home, and you'll be fine, or even better if you're doing really well away from home. But not exactly the opposite. It is only 2 losses, but if you look at it on that perspective, it's 100% versus 80 or 70% or whatever the maths is. So yeah, I think we're slightly different away from home because of some of them factors.
Good news for you, Tommy, is that I think you did my job then. Brad.
Yeah, I did.
We don't coordinate at all. The good news for you is 5 of the last 6 away games we've conceded a goal. But in 2 of the last 6 away games, we've scored 4, and in 1 we've scored 3. And looking at your defence this season, and the way, again, I don't know sort of what you've seen of Leicester, but knowing how we can attack and how quick sometimes we can attack on the other. I'm sorry, mate, but I think, we could get a few goals against you because your defence doesn't look that solid.
Yeah, well, look, it hasn't been solid for probably the last 12 months, to be honest.
Fair enough.
So
is that another goal on my prediction now then?
Yeah, well, look, I think the thing that we've done really well over the last 12 months is that although we'll concede, we'll probably outscore. So it's quite nice in a way. Like no games, not entertaining. So it's always fun for that. And look, to be honest, like Leicester's side, when you're looking at Dewsbury Hall, you're looking at Kelechi, you're looking at Harry Winks in the midfield, probably McAtee as well. I'm looking across the whole squad, and you were saying there, like James Justin's coming in, and what a talent James Justin is, by the way. And you think, well, you should score, really. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like kind of like, well, you should. And it'd be a travesty if you never. And I think it's for us though. It's a case of I think we know we'll concede, but it's how do we create more chances? And you look at our numbers, we're joint top for you guys in terms of like chances created and expected goals. So it's like it's set up to be quite a nice game. I think both attacks are really good. And it could be it could go both ways. It could be a 5-5 or it could be a 0-0. We just don't know, do we? So we're there to be attacked. That it's you can't deny and hide it. It's just the other side has been we're good going forward, and it makes it quite exciting, to be honest. So I'd rather win 4-3 than 1-0 every week, to be honest. But that's just my opinion.
You're not called Boris, are you? We've got somebody in the chat that would like that. I'm just looking for you, again, for your last 6 games, you've actually scored 12 and only conceded 6. So maybe that's something you're improving on. Who should we be looking out for? Who's going to cause us problems?
There's some really good talent in the team. Like Hayden Hackney for me is fantastic. England under 21, and I'm glad that you guys will have a look at him because it's just, I think he's just a player that is ready for Premier League football. He's just progressing so lovely in centre defensive in the middle of the park. I think if you're looking at different players around the pitch, Isaiah Jones has been hot and cold this season on the right-hand side. Really likes to take a man on, get him behind and create chances. Riley McGree, I think it is most likely going to be injured. He is our best player. He's been in the last few games, so you're lucky for that. But Sam Greenwood's came in from Leeds on loan, and he's done really well. Like what you'll see with Middlesbrough is that we'll play with someone on the left who will look to cut in and try and cause an overload, where you'll have your standard winger on the right-hand side, and then you'll see Lucas Engel at left back trying to create the space on the left-hand side. So a few names there to kind of give some of your fans to look at. But yeah, there's some good players in our group. I think just to reel off a few to maybe for the game: Hayden Hackney, Lucas Engel, Isaiah Jones. If Emmanuel Laff starts, just watch him. He's really good off the ball, but on the ball, questionable. And Morgan Rogers, if he was to play, he's starting to really come into his own. So, yeah, just a few players for you to watch.
For us, Brad, it's Craig normally that does it. Brad, who's going to cause Borough trouble? And do we start with Vardy again, third game in the row? Or do we start with your love child, Kelechi?
You start with my love child, Kelechi Iheanacho. Mainly because he holds the ball up. Vardy is very good at coming back, and obviously, even though he's 35 now, 34, 35 now, still miraculously has that pace about him to have the burst. But I think we need somebody who can maybe hold that ball up and let the rest catch up with them more than get ahead and try and get the ball into him as quick as possible before he's offside, sort of thing with Vards. I think the biggest trouble Middlesbrough will have is, I would say it's Fatawu. If he starts with Fatawu, he's caused, even against Leeds, he caused them trouble. Mavididi probably second to that, although with Mavididi it seems he's suffering with Harvey Barnes-arthritis, which is if he gets doubled up on, he struggles to make the impact in the game that he does for the first 20 minutes, half an hour. So for the longevity of the game, I think Mavididi is the strength. It is the strength for Leicester, because he did seem to put a lot of players on the rear ends when he comes running at them. They don't know where he's going to go. And one day you think surely he's going to grab a couple of goals in the game, because his shooting ability is not to be sniffed at either. So yeah, for me, it's definitely Fatawu would be the number one for me. But I think anyone on that wide is going to cause you issues.
Yeah, I think I would agree with Fatawu. The thing is, though, and it's interesting you said swap with Vardy and bring Kells in to start, is against Leeds, both Fatawu and Mavididi were getting down to the bylines, ready to cross the ball, but there was no Leicester player in that box. Vardy was nowhere to be seen. Whether he'd nipped off to the loo and had a break or something, I don't know. But suddenly, there was nobody in that box for them to pass into. Is that something that he's going to look at, do you think, and make sure that we get numbers in the box tomorrow? Friday. Saturday. Whenever it is.
Pick your day, Chris, and stick with it. I think so. I think it's something we've been saying for a while, that we do seem to have a little bit of a plan B, but it's nothing major. But I feel like, it's surprising Vardy actually has scored a few goals with his header throughout his career at Leicester, but I don't know why, but I feel like maybe it's the height thing, maybe it's just the way he's built, but I feel like Kelechi offers you more in that area, because if when Vardy's have to come back and win the ball, the thing we have found, and again I know I sound like I'm contradicting, but it all depends with Vardy where he's picking up the ball. If Vardy's picking up his own half and then he's playing it out wide to Fatawu, Fatawu is a young lad, he gets away from Vardy easy, and that 35-year-old body starts to realise he maybe can't keep up with the youngsters anymore, especially not someone of Fatawu's pace at least. Whereas Iheanacho kind of plays not so deep. He kind of sits in that false nine role, if you will, the Okazaki role, I think I refer to it as. So he might be more in and around the right area when a cross comes into the box, because I think sometimes we've put a ball into the box and we've gone, that's a great cross, but we're clearly not playing for it. So what are we doing, sort of thing? But that might be another way to go for putting Kels in the team over Vardy.
Well, talking about who's going to be scoring, we're going to do score predictions in a second.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Indeed, but before we get to the score predictions, we'll drag it out a little bit longer. We always do this, Johnny, foot in both camps. Nigel Pearson, he played for you against us in the, sorry to mention it again, the League Cup final, which I think, did we win that, Brad? I think we did. And obviously went on to manage us. Your memories of him at Middlesbrough?
Yeah, he's just before my time, is Nige. In such young age, but it's
is he a player that you look at and you sort of look back with thinking, yeah, he was good for us, or
mate, absolutely. I think Nigel Pearson is down as a club legend at Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean? Like, what a great captain to have. Led us into the Riverside, and led us into the finals, and what we were doing over that crazy 2-year period, and. Obviously he's similar to, as he was coming towards the back end of his career, he goes down as a really big legend at the club. And every time he comes to the Riverside, he always got a really, really good reception. And it's just nice to see that. And what he did for Leicester as well, he was kind of like that catalyst really before any era, wasn't he? So I think he's always going to go down for you guys as a bit of a legend as well, right?
I think Brad will agree with me in a second that I don't think Ranieri would have won the Premier League if, the foundations hadn't been put there by Nigel. And, we always say, don't we, Brad, we don't think he gets the probably the credit that he deserves. And, a lot of people look back at his time at Leicester and think about the ostrich incident, the knocking the player down at the side of the pitch and trying to strangle him, the telling a fan to F off. As somebody who met him with my son and, he had the time to stop and talk to us, like a lot of managers, completely different, when he's in that different situation. But a club legend still, though, Brad?
Yeah, he was definitely, he will always be a club hero at Leicester City. 2 stints at Leicester. Obviously, he infamously got us out of League One at the first attempt, which certain teams in this division can't say they did. And Southampton, I believe, as well. So it's not easy, this League One and Championship malarkey as we try to make it out to be. No. But club legend. Obviously, Agent Pearson was clearly saw Heskey on the line and thought, I'll leave him to it because I want Leicester to win it. I'm sure he did that in the cup final. He wanted the replay. But no, he for different reasons, he's a legend at both clubs. And he's really, he's such a memorable character. And as you know, Chris, I don't know if I've told this story more than 300 times, but I had the pleasure of obviously working for Leicester City, and I was part of the housekeeping team down at the old training ground facilities. No, I won't call it the old training ground facilities. It's the facilities now that the women, Beaver Drive, that the women use now. And I was part of the housekeeping team. And in the morning before the players turn up, obviously you get like the backroom staff, and Nigel would come through at about 8:30 it would be. Anyway, long story short, because I can tell a long story, ask Chris. I me and the manager, we were having a little bit of a Barney. It was only playful. It wasn't anything serious. And Nigel Pearson heard it as he was coming down towards the gym room. And he went, "Leave my mate alone, will ya?" To like pointing at me boss. And she went, "Oh, great. I can't say anything to you now. You're best mates with Nigel Pearson." So me and Nigel go way back. We've been mates all this time.
Yeah.
My job.
The mic there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it is time for this now. Now Luke, who I was on his show earlier, Leicester City Down Under. Do go and check it out, guys, if you haven't already. He comes on the show for the watch-alongs on Saturday, and that's his channel. Do go and give him your support. He's gone for 4-1 to Leicester, I'm afraid, Johnny, but don't read too much into that because he's gone 4-1 for 80% of the games this year. And he's got it right a couple of times, purely by luck more than chance. But he has gone 3-1. What do you see this score being?
I think it's going to be 1-1. I do. I don't know when the game speaks. I will say to you, got a draw written all over this, and it turns out to be a romp for either side. So I'm going to go 1-1, and hopefully it does that win in one of those romp games. That's
a brave decision to say that we haven't drawn a game all season.
I'm just playing with statistics there. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm doing. It's gonna happen at one point. It's gonna have to.
Would you be happy with a point at home?
Yeah. Oh, mate, look at that squad. Thought I would be, mate.
We just like people building us up and beefing us up. That's all it is, though. But
mate, if you don't win the league with record points, it's a failure. Like from Maresca, really. Let's be honest. Like with Dewsbury Hall, what a talent he is. What a talent. Yeah. It's no, that's a bit of pressure, isn't it? But it's like champion. You've got to be champions. Surely, it's a failure if you know. If you
ever get fed up with supporting Middlesbrough, we'll have you over here supporting us. Don't worry, Brad. What are you going to go for? Now, Brad is being the worst last two seasons. He won the prediction show. This season in the championship, he's at the other end of the table. Brad, tell me that Middlesbrough are going to win.
I wish I could, Chris. Just for you, I'll say I might just do it in the predictions league itself because I haven't done my predictions yet. I'm off for a strike in that predictions league myself. That'd be awkward, wouldn't it? If the host didn't do it for three weeks, just kick myself out. Might save me less embarrassment. But I can't look. He's gone against the grain, giving us our first draw here. He's sitting on that proverbial Chris's fence panel, as I like to call it, going for 1-1. I can't do that. I think Middlesbrough are going to try and do what Leeds do, or did to us, should I say? But I think they're going to get it horribly wrong, and I think we're going to win 3-0.
Oh my God, you were so close to Maine.
I mean, whatever Chris says is what I actually am going to go for in the predictions thing, because he's got to send me his across, you see, so I know. So I'll wait and then put mine in. Copy all his homework and he'll be dreading it.
Can I just say, we do the prediction show on the Friday, Johnny, and I always try and let Brad go first with his predictions so that I can go something different, because he's been honestly, he has been awful this year. As good as he was, and oh my God, did he enjoy it for the last two seasons. He was top, and he wasn't letting us forget it, and it's just, it's a bit of a Leeds United fall from grace that he's having at the moment, but I always try and go different to him because of that reason. And I actually have gone, I'm sorry, but I've gone 3-1. I think you will get a goal. We do like to concede a goal away from home, but I do think that we are going to win this. I think Leeds poked the bear last week, and I think you might get the comeback. And this time, of course, when we lost to Hull, we went on and beat Southampton 4-1 on the next game. But there was a international break between the two. We haven't got that this time. That's obviously next week. So, yeah, I thought Brad was going to kiss the screen then for a minute. I like you too, Brad, but don't get too close. Johnny, thank you so much for coming on. We have put your links, Twitter and podcast links, in the description below, but just give a shout out as to where people can find you and listening to you.
Yeah, so you can find us on all your podcast providers. Just search for the Borough Breakdown podcast, and on Twitter it's Borough Breakdown, and then on social it's just the Borough Breakdown podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. So you find us on there.
Brilliant. I would wish you all the best for the weekend, but I wouldn't mean it. But I do wish you all the best for the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, guys. You too. And thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed that. So thank you.
No, brilliant. We'll do it again for the return.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Sounds good.
I do appreciate you coming on. Thanks for giving us your time. Take care. And like I say, good luck after Saturday.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks to Johnny there for coming on. Nice guy. Wish him well. Oops, a daisy. What's going on here? There we go. Right, so we don't do a pick the team now, basically because you don't know what he's going to do week in, week out, Enzo. You know, you can win 4 in a row and he still comes in and picks some of the team. So what we do now, we've done it with Craig a few times, and then we're going to do it now with Brad, who's standing in for him. Just say a couple of hellos first. Scott is in. Brad, now what's the long story about you and Nigel? Scott, comment of the day, mate. If I've got a prize for the comment of the day, that would be it. And it's gone 1-0 to Middlesbrough. Oh, Scott. Oh, Scott. And as he says there, please can everybody please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And as well, as he says there, LTID TV 2, which we should be back. Should it be back this weekend, Brad, or is it going to be next weekend?
Take 2. I'm looking to try and do something for this weekend. I obviously, unfortunately, the ladies suffered a defeat to Liverpool at the weekend, but I wasn't able to do any covering for that because, unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of it. So hopefully, I can get something sorted this weekend. I'll give myself a slap on the wrist for missing that one. But yeah, if it isn't this weekend, it will definitely be next weekend. I'll be back up and running, bringing you match reviews. Hopefully, I can figure something out. Maybe even a watch along. I know I've been promising it. One day these promises will happen. So yeah, it is going to start coming thick and fast for the content. And so. And Willie Kirk did get Manager of the Month this season. Yes, he did. A very, very well deserved Manager of the Month. People might say, "Oh, well, all these teams are ahead of you. You lost 2." But you have to remember Leicester City, for those of you that may be new to the WSL, Leicester City took 14 games last season to get as many points as they have now. So a bit like the men's side, already beating last year's total. So very well deserved. And some of the players were in the running as well for the Player of the Month, although they unfortunately couldn't give us both of it. They thought that was too much. But yeah, well done to Willie Kirk and the Leicester ladies.
I believe the first ever Leicester City women's manager to win it. But we're going to go on to now the chosen match, if you like, which was Leicester City against Middlesbrough on the 18th of January 2013, which I, for some reason, had in my mind when you told me, Brad, that this was the Cup final replay. That was obviously the wrong season totally. But this was a kickoff on the 18th of January, like we say, with 20,000 tickets were sold for this game, but the attendance, as you can see there, was 8,585. And it was Leicester's lowest home attendance since the 6th of April 1991, when 8,444 witnessed their second division game with Brighton and Hove Albion at Filbert Street. But you're going to go now and tell us why it was such a low attendance.
Yes, well, with all the storms and floods and everything, I thought this game was quite poetic in my choice because this game had players abandoning their cars, fans unable to attend, railway services, bus services were delayed and cancelled. And this is one of them infamous games that you go, well, if it wasn't on the telly, it would have got called off. And yeah, this was a game because I actually went to this game as well. I was actually one of the 8,000 in attendance, and it was such a strange night because the storm would come in, and we all thought it was going to get called off. We was a little bit late getting to the ground. It was very fortunate that we was in the warm part of the stadium because it was an executive box that I was in for that game. And it was a very, very strange game to try and play. It was like watching a Carabao Cup first round tie at home, Chris, with the attendance there. It was all very scattered. It felt like a game that everybody expect. Like you're thinking, oh, you're playing Shrewsbury in the cup. Well, you get about 8,000 if you're lucky turn up for that. But it wasn't. It was a quite a pivotal game for Leicester that season. At that point, we were on a good run. David Nugent was scoring for fun. And ironically enough, in that game, David Nugent nearly became the villain because late on, Middlesbrough were awarded a penalty by a foul committed by the goal scorer himself. And Kasper Schmeichel performed heroics and saved the penalty in the 89th minute, and Leicester went on to, obviously, as you can see there, win the game. And when you ask me to think of a game, I know the 97 replay or even the original one at Wembley is one to easily go to. But this one was more for me because I used my inside information because in the executive box, and now we do not endorse gambling on this channel, nor should you listen to my advice, but let's just say there was a pot and we all put some pennies in there and you predict the score and the attendance, and the closest to the attendance gets half of it, and the score, anyone who gets the score dead on will get it as well. I went 1-0 and I told my dad, because everyone was like, 3,000, 6,000, something like that. I said, Dad, let me tell you this, the attendance might be about 6,000-7,000, but they will announce it as whatever tickets were sold for the game because they will class them as being in attendance because their tickets paid for. So he went for something really daft, and everybody looked at him, and obviously, even though there was registered 8,000, the attendance announced on the night was actually given as correct attendance for if people had made it. So it was a profitable night for us all round because I was cursing Nugent and then cheering Kasper come the end of it. Pardon?
Insider dealing.
Well, that's what we call it. We say it's frowned upon. It was just my statistic knowledge that I knew that they counted anybody that doesn't turn up for it.
Yeah. So anyway, looking at starting lineup, Schmeichel was in goal. The lad, Michael Keane was in defence. Paul Konchesky, Wes Morgan, and then in the midfield, Matty James, Ben Marshall, wow, Danny Drinkwater, and then Anthony Knockhart, and then David Nugent up front with Chris Wood. 2 up front. Those were the days. Dyer came on for Knockhart after 76. Andy King for Ben Marshall, and Jamie Vardy came on for David Nugent. What do you remember about Ben Marshall? He never really sort of won the crowd over at Leicester, did he?
No, but he had some memorable goals. He had a hell of a right foot on him. He sometimes he'd score a goal and have a performance that would wow you. You know, he reminded me of Guppy in the sense, all right, Guppy was left-footed, he could go on him, but some of the goals he scored, if you look back over his, because he wasn't with us long, was it only a season he was with us? Maybe it was 2, I don't know. Yeah, season and a half. And I was very surprised when we did let him go, but then he kind of delved that way for the remainder of his career. But I quite liked him. I thought he had a potential with us, and I was, you know, before he got sold, I was hoping we'd keep hold of him. I think he moved to Blackburn afterwards. I can't remember. I'm quite sure. Yeah, he could frustrate you, but we've had that problem for a while on with wingers, haven't we? Probably since Mahrez, and before that, probably Guppy as wingers that we all fondly remember.
January 12 to January 17. Sorry, where are we? Sorry. Yeah, January 12 to August 13. And then he went on to Blackburn Rovers, followed by Wolves, Millwall, Norwich, and Millwall again. Anthony Knockaert, I love the guy. He signed his own death warrant with Pearson, really, with that interview he gave to the French newspapers. But I always wondered, would it have worked with him on one wing and Mahrez on the other?
I mean, it might have done. But I think the problem was for Knockaert is that he was a very inconsistent winger, wasn't he? We've said this about a few players in our time, but it was one of them that if he went missing, you did feel like you had 10 men on the ball. He got frustrated. He'd stop running. He'd stop tracking back. He'd throw his toys out the pram. Maybe it's something about the French. I don't know. But then obviously, of course, that sends shivers down my spine to say it, but that horrendous playoff semi-final, or as I like to call it, the friendly that never was, between us and Watford, that kind of put the mockers on him as a whole. And I think, you look at Anthony Knockaert's career afterwards. I mean, I still remember that scorpion kick he scored for us. That was a wild goal. I don't know if you remember it, Chris, but we're playing in our black kit. It was the law sponsor one a few seasons before. Anyway, he scored a great. He could score goals and pop up with some great finishes, but I think the intention was to always replace him with Mahrez as Mahrez grew into his time at Leicester and developed with us. So it might have worked on the left, but I just think he was always going to be a bit too inconsistent for us.
Yeah. No, it's great that you've come up with a game. Let me do my job. Told me off earlier. I'm not annoyed, Brad. I'm not angry. I'm just very disappointed. It is going to be live match day live on Saturday from 2:15 with myself, Brad, and Luke. No Kate this week because she's on her holidays. She's gone to Vietnam, which I must admit I never particularly thought of as a holiday destination, but I don't know who I'm more worried for, Kate or the Vietnamese, to be honest with you. I'm going to pass this one over to you, Brad, because Scott said here, either of you hoping for a difference in starting lineup or to give the players A, a breather, or B, rotation. We kind of touched it at the start of the show. But any thoughts on that, Brad?
I don't think there's need for a breather. It's been 8 days since they played against Leeds. So no, I don't think it's for a breather. But I do feel, and we kind of touched on it. We had that show which you should go and check out, where we broke down the Leeds performance on the Sunday. So go and check that out. That'd be worth watching. Where I do a deep dive into it a bit more. But I do feel we need some changes in personnel and structure, at least to have it as an option to either start with or go to. I'm not sure if he'll feel comfortable doing it from the start. I think it's something you've got to work on the training ground first to do so. But yeah, I can see rotations. There's some players that are coming back from injuries. There's some players that need some game time in there. So I think naturally, your McAteers, your Alvarez's, your Angus, your Eunice's, and that will be hoping to get some game time. And then there's some players that are maybe a week or two still away that will be after the international break, but they'll be looking to get in the door soon. So I feel like you need to make that process starting now. So I think it'd be for rotation. I'd want to see it for.
I'm sorry, but Angus just tickled me then. I don't remember signing him. When did we sign him? But look, just a couple of points, and then we're going to come on to the last. Well, it's a question, but it's also we did touch on it again earlier. Vestergaard back in the Danish squad. Nice to see that. Go on, Yannick. Along with Hermansson, Christensen. And there's another Leicester player in there as well, and I can't remember who it is. Mads and Vestergaard, Mads, Victor Christensen, and of course Kasper Schmeichel, who's not Leicester anymore. But so we've got 3 players in there. Fatawu has got a little bit of a pat on the back. No, he didn't fall over in the cow field, but it's not easy for me to say this. The statisticians at the CIES Football Observatory, which of course we all know, put together another list, this time of the 100 best dribblers in the world under the age of 23. And coming in at number 8 is Abdul Fatawu. So, well, that's all right. I've no idea who they are, but we'll take it. We'll take it. This is something, Brad, and Ben's mentioned it, and we did touch on it earlier. Ipswich away on Boxing Day moved to 7:45. I actually, when I posted this on Facebook and Twitter, it is unfortunately the price of success. If we were down the bottom of the league, we know we wouldn't be featured this much at all. It happened in the Premier League when we won it. The season went on, we were on the telly more and more and more. We've been on the telly a lot in the Championship, I think anyway, and that's because we're doing so well. And of course, we are playing, this first versus second. Should still be that way, depending which way one, it'll either be us or them first. I just think all that bullshit when we had COVID. Oh, it's all about the fans. It's all about the fans. Trying to get back, if you do not drive or you're not on a club coach, on Boxing Day night, I should say, at sort of 10:30, 11, it's going to be ridiculous. They have no thought at all for away fans, do they?
No, they don't. In fact, they don't have a thought for fans in general, because it's going to be a late night, so you can imagine most people will probably be driving to the game because the coach will take a lot longer to get back. You don't know what the weather conditions are going to be like. Most people will probably be staying in a hotel, but then again, no, the Christmas Day, so will they? So you kind of rule that out, don't you? So. And unless they've got family down there, they might say, okay, we'll do that there, do the Boxing Day and sort of thing or whatever, and head there late at night sort of thing. But it's extortionate as well. It's expensive. It's not right on fans. I know our owners have always tried to do their best by away travelling fans when we've had the home fixture on Boxing Day with offering them free stuff, or I think even one season we paid for travel for the away fans on Boxing Day. So, and that's great, but it shouldn't be on the owners, should it, Chris? It should. I don't understand it. If you can, you prove to us through COVID that you can have these games all on telly, and I'm not saying that they can continue to afford that. I don't know the rates, and I'm not a businessman in that sense to know how much it cost them over COVID. I'm sure it didn't cost them enough to not pay the taxes, but we won't talk about that. But for me, I think there should just be a bog standard agreement between clubs that, we'll pick your game to go on Sky, but when it's during the festive period, and I say the same for the New Year fixtures because they're just as bad, if not worse. I think during December, maybe not the start of December, fair enough, but if you said from the 20th to the 4th of January or whenever the last fixtures are played in that first week of January are, all the games kick off at the same time, because the evening kickoffs and the early morning kickoffs, or the 12:30 kickoffs, are both a disaster for fans for two different reasons. Because it's just ridiculous, and it's just not right. It's just not right.
And I think the thing is as well for me is that week between Christmas and New Year is Amazon Prime Football Week. So every single game will be on telly. Well, it was in the Premier League, but our game, sorry, no, so whether it's Amazon Prime, but that's for the Premier League teams. But our midweek game is Cardiff, and we're playing that at 7:45 between Christmas and New Year. Not everybody has Christmas and New Year off. Not everybody that goes to away games lives in Leicester and goes to the ground to pick up one of the coaches. And if you're living, and I know somebody that lives down, well, let's say, Dave, who lives in Leatherhead, poor guy trying to get home from Ipswich at, 11 o'clock on Boxing Day evening. It's a joke. It is really, really a joke. Before we do the match day live on Saturday, we have got the prediction show tomorrow at 9 o'clock. That would be with Pinky and Perky here again, us two. Don't miss that. We'll see how the league is going. If you can send me the league table over or the points over, Brad, and then I can do that and get all that ready. Stay on the line. I'll have a quick one with you afterwards, you lucky devil. But we'll be back tomorrow at 9. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel and smash the likes, but also get over to LTID TV 2. If you like your quizzes, there's going to be some more of those coming up soon. And I say that is the channel to follow the women's football on. Subscribe to LTID TV 2 and show your support over there for us as well. Not a problem, Scott. That's fine, mate. It's just whenever you can come in, mate. Whenever you can come in. You don't have to... if you can't come in, I just presume, you're doing other things on that. I will see you all tomorrow night with Brad at 9 o'clock. And I've got to say, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening if you have also been doing so on your favourite podcast platform. I'm just going to show this before we go. Says something when you can lose and you're still number one. All I'll say is thanks a lot for watching. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
It was a wait. It was a wait.
We got there in the end, man.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.